Having to market yourself online can be one of the most painful and annoying things. And if you know me, I'm a massive fan of actually meeting people in real life. But, if you've decided to go down the online dating path, this video is going to be about how to really rejig your profile to get the most interest. Because, look, some people think that their online dating profile is kind of like an advertisement. And if you think of it like an advertisement or an advertisement, however you like to pronounce the word, you're going to find that it's going to be quite painful. And so what I did was, I decided to do a call out on my Facebook page. I asked people to send me their dating profiles, and in return, what I would do is just give them some feedback and some critiques. And so the purpose of this video is basically to divulge some of the key findings I found. And so these are some of the 3 biggest mistakes or 3 biggest tips that I can give you to avoid that will drastically change the way people perceive you. And before I want to get into this, I want to give you a little bit of a frame first. This isn't about advertising yourself. Hell no. Because the moment you think about advertising yourself, what do? You try and put on a show. You try and play a little bit of a role. Really, about your online dating profile, this is about giving people a snapshot of what it's like to be around you, which is kind of like meeting people in real life. Because in real life, what happens? When you chat with someone, you get to feel their vibe, you get to really get to know them, If your physical appearance is what gets people attracted to you physically, then your vibe, your sense of emotions is what gets people attracted to you emotionally. So when you're chatting to someone in real life, you're having a real life conversation, they can see and experience all of these firsthand. But online, basically, you've got to use your profile, if you want to get the most out of it, to kind of capture you. It's kind of like a snapshot of you and not an advertisement. So the first thing I want to throw out there is your photos. So what kind of photos do we have? And so I have one example of a guy who sent me through his stuff. Look, when you look through these photos, which I've blurred out his face and everything here, when you look through his photos, you see that they're all kind of the same. It kind of doesn't really give you a clear snapshot of who this guy is. And after chatting to this guy, and his profile has a little bit of a sense of humor, if you can see here, and here. You can pause it if you want to actually see the details, but it's like, when I actually spoke to this guy and I had a look through his Facebook profile, there are some amazing photos of him laughing and enjoying himself and having all of these social things going on. And yet, do these dating profile pictures actually portray who he is? Not really. So what you want to do is, when you're selecting your photos, you really want to pick some photos that capture who you are in a variety of senses. Because when I see these photos, it shows someone who's a little bit too nice. And that's what sometimes we think that we're trying to do. We act one way around our friends. We do all these amazing things with our friends. We're laughing and we're joking. We have a great sense of camaraderie. But yet, when it comes to some people's online dating profiles, we're like, all right, how do we want to be perceived? We want to be perceived nice, because we think that's what the other person wants. But what do you want? You want someone who's exciting, someone who's got some vibrance to them, someone who's, who really gels with you. And is probably not afraid to be them in some ways. Maybe, I'm just speculating here of what you might want. But a good majority of people I meet kind of want someone who's comfortable with themselves. You date someone who's not comfortable with themselves after a while, pretty soon you become one of those people, or pretty soon you start to realize that's what you want. So with your profile pictures, it's kind of like that's what gets you juiced, or that's what gets people excited by you, to see that, you can have friends, you can do all these other things with your life. So you want maybe pick a photo that's just you, that's, a nice photo, but you also want to pick a photo that's you doing stuff. That's you maybe going on an adventure with friends, just a sample of some of the emotions that you experience on a day-to-day basis. Because people, when they get to know you, they get attracted to how you feel about life. And, some of these things are what you do with your day-to-day that's not just trying to present yourself very nice. So the second thing is, we want to talk about description. Now, one of the most common mistakes that people make when it comes to their online dating profile is to list things off. We say, I'm looking for this, I am this, I'm a bit of a this, I like this. You might say I'm into cooking, I like adventure, and I'm a bit of a smartass. Great. we'll take your word for it. You know, what you really want to do. And here's an example of someone else who sent me through their online dating profile. Now, I'm not pointing fingers here. What we've done is I want you to see these as examples, and these people, they've gone through and they've changed their profiles, and you know, we'll see how they go. But lists don't really show anything about you. It's like, imagine if I give you a list right now, like 10 things why you should be attracted to me. You know, look at me, I'm on YouTube, you know, I have a beard, I like to wear white t-shirts, I have arms. You know, they're all things that you can experience with someone when you actually get to know them. So these are the things that you want to do is, with your description, you might want to have a little bit of a sample space. So let's have a look at this particular thing, and we're going to workshop this now so you can have an example. Here's an example. She writes, some activities I enjoy are watching sports in person or in TV, listening to music, Pandora has various genres, and love going to movies. Work out 3 days a week, looking for new experiences, willing to try anything at least once. What you can write instead would be something rather exciting, like, you know, if I'm not watching sports, I'm probably listening to music or going to movies. But you know what? You probably, if you're a guy who likes to work out, I'll probably give you a run for your money. You know, something like that, because it not only captures your audacity to be a little bit jovial, because, you know, when you're with friends, with your family, you might shoot the shit every now and then, but it's these kinds of things that say the stuff that you're going to say, but kind of compress it and make it a little bit more exciting to capture more parts of your emotions. So if you want to think of it in another way, don't think of it as writing a description of who you are. Think of it as writing a story that just says a little bit things about you. And if you've listened to my Honest Modern Dating podcast, I've actually talked about stories, and I'll link it in the description below, where we talk about some of the things that really make you more charismatic through conversation. And stories is one of those things. Now, the last thing, because here's a profile of someone who, you know, didn't want me to blur her face. So here you go. Here's a profile of someone who's got the photos. The photos of her are really cool. They actually show her in a variety of situations, and they're really quite exciting. Now, we talked about it. Her description is a bit of a list. So lists aren't really worth it unless you're going to make fun of the fact that it's a list, like the first guy did, which you will see here. But, you know, sometimes when it comes down to it, your profile is your profile. And sure, you're going to be messaging probably a lot of people, because guess what? It's online dating. Same way you look for shoes, right? When you look for shoes, you're looking through a bunch of shoes, and you might get a pair of shoes, it might not fit, but when it comes to online, honestly, the conversations are where it's at. You know, your profile picture, all these descriptions will only get you so far. It's actually as far as you willing to actually communicate to someone. And some people get annoyed about the fact that they have to just chat to 100 people, and then they write things like, hey, or how's your Friday going? Which are all great ways to start a conversation, but I'm pretty sure there's some better ways. And some better ways of starting a conversation might be to make fun or joke about, in the same way you would joke to a friend, about, you know, something that they've put in their profile or some common events that are happening. Now, the thing here is, but you might say, but they're not going to like me. It's like, well, why are you changing yourself into some opinion of what someone might like you instead of being truly who you are? Because what gets people attracted to you is this variety of emotions, is to realize that you're a human being, that, you know, that some days you're going to be happy, some days you're going to be sad, some days you're going to be able to provide for them, some days they're going to have to provide for you. It's these variety of emotions that people are actually quite interested in. And so when you're too afraid to express those things, guess what you come off as? You come off as stifled. You come off as someone who's too afraid to express those things. So speak to someone the same way you would speak to a friend, because truth be told, you want to be able to be friends with someone. You know, I've never seen a guy who's been so attracted to a woman physically and emotionally, they had the best sex ever, that, you know what, they just kept the relationship up for that. You know, the amount of connections you have, if a connection is like a thread, the amount of threads you have is the strength of the relationship. So you want to be able to do this. Now, you want to be able to just chat with someone like they're a real human being and get to know them. And what it's really important, just like regular dating, you want to have a clear idea about what kind of conversation you do want, but also what kind of conversation you don't want, because you don't want to waste any time with people that don't really give you what you want. And it is a bit of a process. Sometimes dating is not only a qualification process, but a disqualification process. So for me personally, whenever I meet someone, whether it's a friend or more or whatever, I want to make sure that that person actually can keep up with me as a sense of humor. I have a really terrible sense of humor, and I want to know that they have just as bad as a sense of humor as me. So, it's one of these things that, I make a joke. If they can't handle it, then maybe they're more in the friend category, and there's nothing wrong with that. Everyone says give everyone a chance, right? But after a while, you realize that, give everyone a chance might be a thing that we say to hypnotize ourselves because we want everyone to give us a chance. And truth be told, you don't want everyone to give you a chance because you don't want to date everyone. You can be friends with everyone, but when it comes to your most intimate romantic circle, you have to be a little bit picky, because it's like, if you're not, then there's the quote that I personally had to learn the hard way when I was a lot younger. If you make yourself available to everyone, you make yourself available to no one. And that's what doing lists are. That's what trying to pretend to be something that you're not does. And that's what these nice photos do. They're trying to make yourself too available to everyone, and it does not work. It's the same thing with these videos. If I was to try and make these videos really applicable to everyone, guess what? No one would want to watch it, because it's like, how to do this. Even the best life coaches, even the best business people, you will know that they have strong opinions about things. And these strong opinions are what get people attracted to you. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, make sure to leave a like and make sure to subscribe, because if you don't, Tinder will become the only legal way to meet people. And guess what? If you're like me, it's gonna break your heart. All right? Mwah. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time. Bye.